Hi, in this video we are going to see the OOPS concept in the Python. So the people don't know what is the OOPS concept, so it is nothing but the object oriented programming system. So this is stand for the OOPS, and this is the highly important concept in any programming language, either it's a Python, Java, C++. It's a most important, or you can say most valuable topic or concept in any programming language, which is OOPS concept. And OOPS is nothing but the object-oriented programming system. So basically, it is nothing but the one concept or one of the way of writing the code. So we will see step by step. So first we will start with the definition. So in the OOPS, the first things comes like what is the class? Actually, there is a lots of things come in the OOPS concept. Like let me tell you, like class, object, then polymorphism, inheritance, then different types of different types of the inheritance, then then method overloading, method overriding, function overloading, constructor overloading. So such type of different things comes under the OOPS concept. So we will start with the basic definition, like what is the class. So here only you can see Python is the object-oriented programming language. As we know, Python is the object-oriented programming language because Python supports the OOPS concept. So because of that only, Python is the object-oriented programming language. Then here we have written like to create the object, we require some plan or blueprint, which is nothing but the class. So this is the one standard definition you will get anywhere. If you search what is the class, so this is the standard definition you will get easily. Like to create the object, we require some plan or blueprint, which is nothing but the class. We have one more alternative definition. In the simplest way, what we can say like that class is the container which is used to store the properties and action of the object. So time being, don't focus on what is the properties, what is the action, what is the object. No, just only think what is the just only like listen what is the definition. So in the simplest way we can say class is the container which is used to store the properties and action of the object. So we can write a class to represent the properties and action of the object. In a simple way I'm saying, see, if someone is asking what is the class in a Python, so you can say like in a simple way you can say class is the container which is used to store the properties and action of the object. So we can write a class to represent the properties and action of the object. In the simplest way you can say this definition. Let's go in detail like what is the object. See, in general in English, object means is the anything which have some properties. But as per programming language, we have some standard definition. So let's see, like object is nothing but the instance of a class which have properties and action. This is the definition as per the programming language. Like object is nothing but the instance, like anything of class, instant of a class which have properties and action. And in the simple way you can see anything which have some properties and method, it is nothing but the object. Best example, mobile. If you think about the mobile have some properties and some method, and method is nothing but the action only. So here only I have written the action and here I have written the method. So don't be confused like what is the method, what is the action, what is the properties. So in the simplest way, object is nothing but the instance of a class which have properties and action. Or we have alternative definition like anything which have some properties and method is nothing but the object only. For example, mobile. So if you think about the mobile, so mobile is the object which have some properties. What kind of properties? Mobile have color, mobile have weight, mobile have size, shape. So these things is nothing but the properties of the mobile. Then what is the method? And method, as I told you, method and action. Both are same thing. So what is the method or action supported by the mobile? So we can perform, like we can call someone, we can watch movie, we can play a song. So these are the different action, or you can say different method, which with the help of the mobile we can perform. Then again, don't be confused like what is the properties, because in a simplest way, if I want to say, so it is a property is nothing but the variables in a Python. Again, I'm repeating, properties is nothing but the variable. In programming language, we are using the variables. That variables is nothing but the properties only. So keep in mind, properties is nothing but variable only. Method or action, both are alternative to each other. So property is nothing but the variable. And let me tell you, in a Python, we have a three types of variables. Again, I'm repeating, what is the class? So here only you can see, I know this first definition is a little bit confusing, but this is the standard definition people like to say in the interview, like Python is the object-oriented programming language, and to create the objects, we required some plan or blueprint, which is nothing but the class. Most of the and people are saying this definition only, but I have one easiest definition or simplest one, like we can say like that class is the container which is used to store the properties and action of the object. So what is the object? So object is nothing but the instance of a class which have properties and action. Then what is the property? So properties is nothing but the variables only, which is we are using inside the our programming. And what is the method? So method, we know, like to perform some action, we require the method. And don't worry, we will break down this definition in the detail as like our previous videos we are doing. Same thing we are doing in this video also. So properties is nothing but the variable. And in a Python, we have a three types of variables. So these are the types of variable. We have an instance variable, static variables, local variable. They have some alternative name also, like instance variable also known as object level variable, static variable also known as class level variable, and local variables also known as method level variable. So might be people ask you, what is object level variable, what is a class level variable, what is the method level variable? Instead of asking like what is the instant variable, what is the static variable, and what is the local variables. So you have to keep in mind, properties is nothing but the variables in the Python. And in a Python, we have a three types of variables. What are the three types? Instance variable, static variable, local variable. And we have some alternative names for that particular variable. For example, instance variable, also known as object level variable. Static variable, also known as class level variables. And the local variable, also known as method level variable. Then again, action. So action is nothing but the methods. As I told you, action is nothing but the methods only. And in the Python, we have a three types of method. Instant method, class method, and static method. I'm repeating again. Action is nothing but the methods only. In a Python, we have a three types of method. What are that three types method? Instance method, class method, and static method. So I hope you clear with this point, like what is the class? So as I told you, class is the container which is used to store the properties and action of the object. So I have told you what is the object. So object is nothing but the instance of a class which have properties and action. So again, I told you what is the property. So property is nothing but the variable only. And as I told you, in a Python, we have a three types of variable. Instance variable, static variable, local variable. Then what is the action? So action is nothing but the methods only. And again, in a Python, we have a three types of methods. What is the methods? Instant method, class method, and static method. So this is the standard definition of the class. And as per my understanding, this is the simplest definition I have ever seen for the class. So I hope you get clear idea what is the class what are the things we are storing in the class, and what are the different types of the methods and properties, or you can say variables we have in the particular class. There is a one more definition for the class, like a class is the group of methods and attributes. Some people are used to say this definition also in the interview room, like class is the group of methods and attributes. So as I told you, methods is nothing but the action only, and again attribute is nothing but the variable only. So don't be confused, there is a three different definition for a class, but as per my understanding, this two is the various easiest definition. Let's see how we can create the class. So here only I have written one syntax like how to create the class. So to create the class, we have to use the keyword class. Keep in mind, if you want to create the class, we have to use the predefined keyword class. Then here we have to use the class name. And one more thing, here the name I have taken first letter in the capital. This is the naming convention in the class. So here you can see class is the keyword I have taken. Then my class is the name I have given here. In place of my class, you can give any name. It is not restricted like you have to give any name followed by class only. No, you can give any name like class, then you can give car, then bike, then mode, then vehicle, whatever you want. So this class, my class name is the variable. It is not a static thing. So you can give any name. Then here, as I told you, class is the group of methods and attributes, or you can say class is the group of properties and the action. Both are same thing only. So what is the properties? So as I told you, properties is nothing but the variables which is we are storing inside the class. And what is the action? So action is nothing but the methods which is we are defining inside the class. And here we have created the object of the class, and here we are calling that particular method. Because if in the class you want to call the method which is present inside the class, so you have to create the instance of a class, and with the help of that instance reference variable, you can call that particular method what that particular class have itself. So even if you are not getting this, how to create the class, how to create the object, don't worry, I will create and show you. Give me 1 second. So here only you can see like how to create the class. So the first things, to create the class, we have to use the keyword class. So let's use class. This is the keyword I'm using for create the class. Then I have to give the name to the class. So I can give any name. So in my case, I'm giving my class. So after giving the name of the class, you have to use the colon. This is the syntax. Then here you can define the attributes, or you can say properties. So for example, or in place of a class, let me take mobile. So it will be more relevant. So this is my class name, which is mobile. And in this class, I have a different properties of the mobiles. For example, weight. So weight of mobile, for example, I'm giving 300 gram. Then for example, color of the mobile, for example, I'm giving black. So this is the properties, or you can say attributes of my class. Or what is the class name? My class is mobile. So mobile have some properties like a weight and color. Then as I told you, mobile also have some methods, or you can say action. So in the class, how we are defining the method? So for that, our keyword def. This is the keyword to define the function, or you can say method. And here you can write the function. So for example, what kind of action performed by my mobile? So for example, I'm giving calling. Calling means like I can call with my phone to someone else. So this is the one action you can say, or function you can say I can perform with the help of my mobile. Then again here also we need to use the colon. Then this is the one function, and here I can write whatever I can want. For example, I want to like print, and here I can pass any statement. I am calling function, calling function, or you can say method, not a problem. So I am a calling function. Then here you can after that come to the outside of the class, and here if I want to use the properties and action of the class, then I have to create the object of the class, or you can say instance of the class. So what is the syntax to create the objects of the class, or you can say instance of the class, and why we need to create the object or instance of the class? So if you want to use any property, any method, or any action or any function which is present inside the class, then with the help of the object or instance of a class only you can access them. And object and instance of the class is both are the same thing, so don't be confused. So for example, I want to use the weight 300, which is I have written inside the class. I want to print, so like I want to access that particular variable. So how we can do? So first of all, I need to create the object. So obj, in place of obj, again you can take any variable. It is an object reference variable. It is not mandatory you have to use the obj only. No, you can give any name, because this is the object reference variable. Then you have to pass the name of the class along with square bracket. So I have, so this obj is nothing but the object reference variable. Object reference variable, or you can say instance reference variable. So we have created the instance of the class. So whatever things present in the mobile class, all the things now present inside the obj. Then again obj, now as I told you, obj have all the things which is have inside this mobile, and mobile have weight, color, calling function, whatever things. So now I want to access the weight. Here I have did one mistake. Here I need to pass the round bracket, and I have to specify the self variable. Let me run. See, 300 printing. Now, for example, I want, so this is how you can access the instance, like how you can access the properties of the class. Let me copy one more time this one. Paste here. Now, this time I want color. Let me run. See, 300 black. It means I'm able to access the properties which is present inside the class from outside the class. I hope all the people are getting. Don't be confused. Like we are going to see the lots of example on the class, constructor, inheritance, multiple types of inheritance, all the things. So don't be panic like I'm only showing the one example and you are not getting. No, you will get. Don't worry, because the way I'm explaining, it's a very simplest way. So 1 second. So see, this is the one class, and inside the class we have a properties. This is nothing but the properties only, and this is the function, or you can say method, or you can say action which have, and this is the how we can access this properties outside the class. Then then let me show you how you can access the methods or action present inside the class. Let me show you. So for example, let me fetch here only. So as I told you, obj have all the things which is present inside the mobiles. So simply take this one, paste in the round. See, previously when I was running, it's printing only 300 and black. But inside the function, I have written I am calling function. Let me run. See, I am calling function. So I hope you are getting like how we can create the class. Then as per the definition, what is the properties inside the class and what is the function or action or you can say method in the class. And I hope you are getting how we can create the object of the class. See, this is the syntax obj equals to class name. This obj is nothing but the any variable whatever you want, and this mobile is nothing but the whatever class name you have given here, the same thing you need to paste here. And I hope you're getting how we can access the action or method or you can say a function present inside the class. So with the help of obj, which you can simply say dot calling. Calling is nothing but this is the same name along with square bracket. And how you can access the properties? So again, obj dot that variable name, whatever you want. So this is how you can access the properties and action of the class. So the next thing, actually I want to show you more example of the class, but there is one more very important concept in the Python, or you can say in the class only, Python constructor. So let me tell you little about constructor, then again we will come back to the class and we will create different types of the class along with the different method. As I told you, we have a different method like an instance, class, static method, then different variable like an instance method, instant variable, class variable, local variable. So I'm going to use this entire things and I will show you example how we can create the class. But as I told you, there's one very important concept, constructor, which is come inside the class only. So first, let me show you the definition, like what is the Python constructor. So the constructor is the special method in the Python. See, constructor is nothing but the method only, but it is the special method. So what is the speciality? See, the name of the constructor should be underscore underscore init underscore underscore self. If you remember, in the general way, if we are creating the method with the help along with the def keyword, we can use any name for that particular method. But for the constructor, it is predefined. We have to use the underscore underscore init underscore underscore self. So in the programming, anywhere you are seeing anything like underscore underscore init underscore underscore self, it means you have to know this is the constructor we have written here. Then the constructor will be execute automatically. See, constructor will execute automatically at the time of object creation. Then what is the object creation? Here only. Obj equals to mobile. This is the place where we are doing the object creation. Let me do one thing. For clear understanding, let me bifurcate these things. This is nothing but the properties. Properties. Some people also call attribute. So don't be confused what is the properties and what is the attributes. Both are same only. So these two are nothing but the properties or attributes, or some people also say variables. So you can say either attributes or properties or variables, whatever you want. All the things same only. Then these things. Some people say action. Actually, very rarely people saying action. Most of the time people saying are function. Then some people saying are method. And Here we are using the self. So if there is a written self inside the method, you have to understand this is the instance method. Instance method. So this is the different name people are using to represent these things. And if you see the definition of the class, let me show you. 1 second. As I told you, I will break down the entire definition. So the same thing only I'm doing. I'm trying to break down entire definition step by step. Yeah. So in my definition, I told class is the container. So you can imagine class is starting from here and it is acting like a container which is used to store the properties. So here you can see I'm storing the properties and action of the object. So here you can see I'm storing the action. And one more definition I have written, like an object. So let me copy this one thing. One second. Yeah. And as I told you, object is nothing but the instance of a class which have properties and action. So I have break down this definition, like what is the properties and what is the action. Then second thing, object. So this object is nothing but the, what is this obj? Obj is nothing but the object reference variable, and what it have. So all the things we have inside the class, we are storing in the object. So what is the object? So object is nothing but the instance of class only. See, here only we have using the class name, and we are storing all the instance inside the obj, and with the help of this object reference variable, we are calling all the properties and action which we have inside the class. And one more thing, these are the static variable. Static variable. As I told you now, we have different types of variable, like static variable, local variable, instance variable. So these are the static variable. Don't worry, we will see in detail, like we will see all the different types of the variables, how we can use, where we can use, and where we cannot use. All these things we will see. And same things in the methods also we will see, how, where we have to use the instant method, where we have to use the class method, where we have to use the static method. We will see entire thing step by step. So I hope I'm clear with my definition, what I have written for the class. And don't worry, I will share my notes to my Telegram channel, and I will provide the link of my Telegram channel in description box. So from there you can join my Telegram channel and you can use the notes for your reference. So come down. We have started the constructor. So as I told you, constructor is the special method in the Python, and the name of the constructor should be start with underscore init underscore self. Then the constructor will execute automatically at the time of the object creation. So as I shown you, what is the object creation? So this line is nothing but the object creation. Let me write here. Object creation. So whenever object creation will happen, our constructor will automatically call. Come here. Then per constructor will execute, like per object constructor will execute one. I forgot to tell you, 1 second. Here we have created object of a class and we have created one object. In a Python, or not only in a Python, in another programming language also, we can create more than one object of a class. Or in simple way we can say, we can create the multiple object of a same class. Let me show you what I'm trying to say. For example, initially I have created one obj mobile. So obj is the one object of the class. What I can do, obj2 equals to, this will also work. Let me show you. For example, let me copy this one and here in place of, see, previously it was printing I am calling function one time, but here I am calling that function two times. One with obj, then second one with obj2. Let me run. See, I am calling function, I am calling function. If I create one more object, let me show you. And here if I can, let me run. So it means we can create multiple objects of one single class. There is no restriction about how many objects we can create for particular class. No, as per our requirement, we can create as many as object reference for that particular class. So the same thing I have written here only. Constructor per object constructor will execute only one. It means if in your program you have three objects of one class, then your constructor will execute three times. But if your class have one object, then at that time constructor execute one time. So as many as number of object you have, as the same number of time constructor will execute. If you have 100 object of a same class, then your constructor will execute 100 times for the same class. So the same thing I have written only, per object constructor will execute only one. It means for each individual object constructor will execute one time. I hope I am clear with this definition. The next thing, construction can take at least one argument self, which is here only we have given. Constructor is the optional, and if we are not providing any constructor, then Python will provide default constructor. Again twist. Constructor is the optional in the class. If you want, you can write constructor inside the class. If you don't want, you no need to write the constructor inside the class. At that time, Python provides the default constructor, which is supported by the Python only. So if you remember, here only, this is our first class, whatever we have created. Here you can see we have not used the constructor. So as I told you, the last line of my definition, constructor is the optional. So it is an optional. So because of that only, I have not used in my first example. And if we are not providing the constructor, at that time Python will provide the default constructor. The same thing I have written here only. So this is the example of the class without constructor, you can say like that. And I know in this you have lots of confusion, like what is the static variable, what is the static variable, what is the instant variable, what is the class variable, where we have to use these things, and what are the different types of the methods we can use in the class. So don't worry, I'm here to explain all the things in the very simplest way. So let's see the example where we can use the constructor. So in the class only we are using the constructor. So I'm going to show the different types of the class, like a class without parameter and the class with parameter. And here we are going to use the constructor. So here you can see I have written one class, then class name mobile, and as I told you in my definition only, the constructor name should be underscore underscore init underscore underscore self. So the same thing, def and then underscore underscore init underscore underscore self. So this is the name of the constructor in the Python. And here I have written one print statement, like I am a class constructor, and here I have taken the variables and variables are nothing but the properties only. So class is the mobile, and mobile have some properties like mobile name, which is mobile model, which is Samsung M34, then price 16,000. Then we have one function, sorry, we have one method which is show, and I'm using this method to display the price and the model of the mobile. And simply here I'm creating the objects of my class, and here with the help of the object I'm accessing the variables of the class and the methods of the class. So basically this is the same things what we have did in our first example of the class, but the only difference is here we are using the constructor, and in the first example of the class we are not using the constructor. So let me show you. Let me open my compiler. Yeah, one second. Yeah, so to create the class, first we have to use the class keyword. After that we have to define the name of the class. So as I told you, we can give any name whatever we want. So I'm taking mobile only. Then after that we have to use the colon, then enter. This is the syntax to create the class. So after creating class, we have to define our constructor. So what is the syntax to define the constructor? So if you see the definition, I will show you. One second, let me copy this entire things. And let me remove these things, this entire things. Let me print this one. Yeah, one second. Yeah. So as per definition only, if we want to create the constructor, so we have to use the def keyword. After that we have to use this one. And here we have to use the colon. So this is the syntax to create the constructor in the class. And what is the use of the constructor? Because might be people ask now, like you told what is the constructor, okay, but what is the use of the constructor? So to initialize the instance variable we need constructor. I'm repeating again, to initialize the instance variable we need constructor. Then again people think what is the instance variable? So as I told you, in a Python we have a different types of variables, like static variable, instance variable and local variable. So instance variable is the one of the type of the variable only. So keep in mind, instance variable is initialized by the constructor only. How to define the instance variable. And one more thing, let me show you. This is the example of a class without parameter. Class without parameter, keep in mind. So here we are going to see the example of the class without parameter. So I'm not going to pass any parameter. And here, as I told you, inside the constructor, we are going to initialize the instance variable. So time being, don't focus on what is the instance variable. Simply see how we can define the instance variable. And after that, I will explain in the detail, like what is the instance variable, where we can use the instance variable, how we can modify the instance variable, all the things related to the instance variable. So the time being, focus on constructor, like, because in this example, we are going to see how we can use the constructor. So, and this is our constructor only. So there is one syntax to use the instance variable. We have to use the self keyword. Self keyword. See, here we are using the self, and by default, the first parameter in the constructor is going to be treated as a self only. Even if we are going to write something else in the place of this self, it will treat it as the instance of the current object only. So it is recommended to use the self only. So don't confuse, simply use the self, and this self is nothing but the same we are using here only. So the self dot, we can use the our variable whatever we want, and that variable is nothing but the instance variable. So as I told you, my class name is mobile. So my mobile have some model equals to, for example, I'm giving Samsung M34. This is my model name. Then again, I'm taking one more instance variable, which is price. And price equals to, for example, 16,000. One second. Yeah. So inside the constructor, I have initialized my instance variable. Now I'm going to create one method. So for that, we have a command def, then method name, whatever we want. So for example, I have method show. And here, this method is also nothing but the instance method only. So if we are using the instance variable, at that time also we have to use this self. If we are using the instance method, at that time also we have to use the self. So here also we need to write the self. Then come down, and here what I want to do, I want to simply, one second, access, or I'm fetching the variable which is present inside the constructor. So I'm writing like mobile model is, then comma, then here I need to specify this one. So the same thing I want to do for the price also, simply copy and paste, and mobile price. And here I need to copy this one. That's it. Come down. So I have created one class, and this is the example of a class without parameter. So, and basically we are seeing how we can use the constructor. So constructor we are using to initialize the instance variable. Let me show you one thing. Let me write. This is the class name. This is the constructor. Then this is instance variable. Then same thing, let me copy. And for this one also. Then this is the method. Not method, instance method. Instance method. And how I'm saying this is the instance method, because in the method we have passed this self. This is the one very important point. If any variable written along with the self, it is the instance variable. If any method written with the self, it is an instance method. Very simple thing. No need to like do lots of things like what is the instance method, what is the instance variable. No, if it is written with the self, it is an instance variable, and if it is any method written with the self, it is a instance method. That's it. And these are simply printing the values. Then come outside. Now I want to create the object. I want to create the object, or you can say instance of the class. So for that, we can use any variable, which is nothing but our object reference variable. So I'm taking obj. You can give any variable, whatever you want. Then we need to copy this thing, which is nothing but the class name. Then come down. Then all the things, whatever we have inside the mobile class, it is present in the obj. So with the help of the obj, we can access all the things. And one more thing, here I want to print one statement. I am the constructor. So here I have created the instance of the class, which is obj. And as I told you, if you see the definition, the constructor will be executed automatically at the time of object creation. And where we have did the object creation, let me show you. So this point is nothing but the object creation. Object creation. See, I am the constructor. I have simply created the object, and if I'm running, so this is printing I am the constructor. I have not access or not try to fetch this particular statement explicitly. No, I have simply created the object and I have run this program. So simply it's printing I am the constructor. It means at the time of object creation, this constructor will called automatically. No need to call manually. It will come automatically. So this is one point which is I have mentioned in my definition. The constructor will be executed automatically at the time of object creation. So I hope I'm clear with this statement, this two statement. First one, I have shown you the same thing we have written here only. And second thing, I have shown you at the time of object creation, it is calling automatically. Next. So we have called the object. So we called the constructor. Second thing, if I want to access the property of the class, or property is nothing but the variables only. So how we can access? So simply what I need to do obj dot this one. Let me print this statement. 1 second. Let me run Samsung M34, the model name which is I have written here. If I copy these things and paste, and I want price. Let me run. See, price 16,000. So the next thing, if I want to access the instance method outside the class, so how I can access? So as usual, which we have seen in our first example. So obj dot method name. Let me run. See, mobile model is Samsung M34, mobile price is 16,000. The things what we have written here, the same thing is printing here. And how I know this is the instance variable and this is the instant method. So as I told you, if we are using this self, so you have to understand or keep in mind, if there is a self keyword, then it is an instance variable only. And or in a method, if there is a self, then it is an instance method only. So this is the example of the class without parameter. So first example of the class we have seen where we are not using the constructor. The second example we have seen where we are using the constructor but without parameter. So the next we are going to see the class with constructor along with parameter. Let me show you what I'm trying to say. So this part we have seen. So the next things we are going to see the class with parameter, and here we are using the constructor also. So many of the people are confused like when we should use the class with parameter and when we should use the class without parameter. And most of the people think like when we should use the constructor, when we should not use the constructor. So as I told you, constructor is used to initialize the instance variable. So if you have the instance variable in your program or in your coding, at that time you have to create the you have to use the constructor. Anyhow, you are going to provide or not the constructor. Python will provide the default constructor if you are not providing the constructor. So I hope I'm clear with my definitions. So the next things I'm going to tell you how we can use the constructor in a class with parameter. So which is nothing but the same thing. Like I'm using the class mobile and here I'm using the constructor. These things are nothing but the constructor part only, what we have seen in the previous example. But this M and P is nothing but the parameter. And here the same thing I have written, like I am the constructor, then self model, these things. And here I'm simply creating the object, and here I'm passing the values for the parameters or attributes what I have taken inside the constructor. So this Samsung M34 is nothing but the value for this M, and this 16,000 is nothing for P. So these things I'm passing at the time of object creation. So let's see. Let me comment these things, and don't worry about the code. I will share in my Telegram channel, so you can use this one. And I don't think this is that much important because you can write your own code. So again, I'm creating one class. So to create the class, we have to use the keyword class, then class name, whatever we want. So I'm giving mobile only. Then again, how to create the constructor. So for that, we have a command def, then underscore underscore init. Then here we need to write first self. If you see the definition here, I think I have written, yeah, constructor can take at least one argument, self. So I have clear with this statement also. One second. Yeah. So as I told you, let me copy this line with parameter. One second. Yeah. So this is the example of class with parameter. So here I'm using parameters. So I'm taking parameter M for a model, then comma P for a price. That's it. Then the same thing what we have did, self dot M equals to M. This M is nothing but this one only. Then again, self dot P equals to P. Here either you can give the M only or whatever name you want. So I want, for example, model, and here price. So the point to be noted, this M and P should be the same whatever variable you have taken here. But this one you can give anyone whatever you want. But this and whatever you have written here, the same thing you have to use here only. And here also I'm writing print, then I am constructor. I am constructor. Come down. So we have created the constructor. We have initialized the this one instance variable also. So the next things, I'm taking one of method. For that we have a keyword def, then method name. So for example, I want year, or simply I'm giving the name launch, or what we can say, yeah, year only. Years, like in which years this one released. And as I told you, I'm using the instance method. So for that, here I have taken in self. So don't worry, you will get to know like when we have to use the instance method, static method, or class method. After this example, I will explain in a brief, like at what time we have to use what method and what variable. So the here also I want to pass one parameter. Again we have to do self dot year equals to y. So we have a created class same as previous one. The only difference here we are passing the parameters. In previous we are directly passing the values, but here we are not passing the values. Here we are using the parameter concept. So at last we are going to create the object of the class. So what is the class? So class is the mobile. Simply copy this one, print this one, then yeah. So let me run first, then you will get little bit. See, if you remember here, after creating the object, when we are running, our output is printing. But in this case, we are getting the error like this. This is nothing but the constructor. And what is the message we are getting? Missing two required positional argument M and P. So what is this error exactly? Here you have taken two parameters M and P. So at the time of object creation, you have to pass that value. So for example, for M, I want this one. So let me copy exactly same thing. I'm not going to write again, comma, price also. Okay, now let me run. Oh, 1 second. I missed one. This. Yeah, let me run. Name price is not defined. Okay, here we have did mistake. 1 second. It should be print, not a price. Sorry, have not seen. Let me run. Yeah. So after creating the object, here I'm passing the values for the parameters, what I have taken inside the constructor, and it is printing I am a constructor. So keep in mind, if you are writing the class with parameter, so you have to pass the value for all the parameters at the time of object creation. So see here, inside the constructor, as I told you, when object create, constructor will execute, and constructor will execute means this part execute. So you have to pass the values for parameters whatever you have used in that particular area. So here I have used M and P. So because of that only I have to pass the value for M and P. Then the next things, with the help of this object, I want to access this year also. So if you remember, previously we are doing like this. And if I run, see, here also I'm getting error like years missing one required positional argument Y. So here also you need to pass the value for the Y. So for example, I'm giving 2022. And here let me write one print statement. So you will get clear idea. Year is 1 second, comma, this one. So we have to use like this. Let me run. See, year is 2022. So this is the class with parameter and this is the class without parameter, and we have also seen the how we can use the constructor. So let me summarize. The first example we have seen, it's a very simple example. We have seen how we can create the class, and there we have not used the, and where we have not used the constructor concept. Then the second example, which is this one, we have seen how we can create the class without parameter with constructor. And the third example, we have seen how to create the class with parameter and with constructor. And this is the way how you can create. So I hope I'm clear with my statement, whatever I have mentioned regarding the constructor, because I have explained you like this is the syntax, how to create the constructor. Then I have explained these things also, like I have justified this point also, like executed automatically. You have seen at the time of object creation only, it is calling automatically. Then the next thing, the main purpose of the constructor is to initialize or declare the instance variable. See, instance variable. And what is the instance variable? So see, here you can see, as I told you, whatever variables we are using along with the self, it's all considered as the instance variable. Don't worry about the exact meaning of the instance variable, because I'm after this only I'm going to clear in detail what is the instance variable in detail. So, and the next one I have to tell you, per object constructor will execute only once. I think this point is pending. I will explain. Don't worry. This point, constructor can take at least one argument. At least one argument. It means it can take more than one argument. So here we have given at least one argument, which is self, and maximum we can give as many as we want. So I am clear with this point also. Then constructor is an optional, and if you are not providing a constructor, then default constructor provided by the Python. So this point I have already justified in my first example, because in our first example I have not used the constructor. Without constructor only I have run that particular program related to the class. So the only point is pending, per object constructor will execute only once. So let me show you the proof here. See, if we are running, it's running like I am a constructor one time, because we have created the object one time. What if I create object one more? Then as per my definition, one second, let me run this one. And this time I don't want Samsung, I want, for example, Oppo. And only Oppo only. Let me run. See, now I am a constructor printing 2 times. And one more thing, let me take this one also. Yeah, this one also, and here too. Let me run. Yeah, let me print this model name also, so you will get clear idea. Let me copy this entire things. And one more time. So which is self model, because with the help of this one you will get to know like why we are using the parameter and why we are using the without parameter class. Let me run. See, first time it is printing I am a constructor, year is 2022, year only. Okay, sorry, we need to change this one. This one should be model, and this one should be price, price. Okay, now let me run again. Yeah, so I am a constructor, year 2022, model is Samsung, price is 16,000. Then I have created one more object, so it's printing I am a constructor, year is 2022, model is Oppo, price is 16,000. See, this is the beauty if we are using the class with parameter. If you remember this one, this entire things always going to print the same things whatever you have hard coded here. Once you have written 16,000 and once you have written the Samsung M34, each and every time it is going to be print the same. But with the help of this class with parameter, you can change the value multiple times as per your requirement. So let me see. Same thing I have written up to this, everything is the same. But whatever value I am passing in the parameter, so that things because of that things only the output is getting changed every time. Because let me show you one more time. If I copy this one and print this one, and this is 3 and this is 3, and for example this is some new mobile like nothing phone, and price is for example 20,000. I don't know exactly, I think it's 30,000. Yeah, let me run. See, so how many times constructor executing? 1, 2, 3. And what is the number of object I have? 1, 2, 3. So the same thing I have written here. per object constructor will execute only once. So each and every line, whatever I have mentioned here, I have explained you in detail exact meaning of the line. And this is the like best things you can say, like in the interview room, interviewer ask you which one is the better as per your understanding, class with parameter and class without parameter. So at that time, you should be able to answer these things. Like if you are using the class without parameter, at that time, it is not that much good things. Why? Because each and every time it is going to be written the same things, whatever you have defined at the time of creating the class. But with the help of the class with parameter, you can change or you will get different values for different inputs. So this parameter is nothing but the input only we are passing to this class, and based on this we are getting the different output. So keep in mind this definition. So I hope you are clear with this, like what is the constructor, what is the class, what is the object, why we should use the constructor, and why we should use the class with parameter, and why we should use the class without parameter. So as per your requirement or your need, you should choose the correct things. So the most important things, as I told you, let me show you these things. What is instance variable, or we can say object level variable? So as I told you, after completing that example, I will explain you in detail. So let's start. So we will start with the basic definition, like what is the instance variable? So if the value of variable change from object to object, then such type of variable are called instance variable. I know most of the people not getting what I'm trying to say. Simple thing. If the value of the variable, one second, see, this is what? This model and this price is what? Is nothing but the variable only. What kind of variable? As I told you, instance variable. So here I have written, if the value of the variable change from object to object. What is the mean object to object? This is the one object, this is the second object, this is the third object. So if the value of the variable is changed, here I have written only change from object to object. So for this object, the value of model is Samsung M34. Clear? Because same thing is printing here. So for the second object, the value of this model is changed to Oppo. Then for third object, the value of this model is changed to nothing. So basically what I'm trying to say, if the value of the variable, so this is the variable, if the value of the variable change object to object, to different object, the value of the variable change different. So such type of variable is nothing but the instance variable. So I hope I'm clear with my definition, whatever I have written here. So if the value of the variable change from object to object, then such type of variable are called instance variable. For every object, separate copy of instance variable will be created. So here only you can see, for every object, for this object, we have separate copy, which is Samsung M34 16,000. For this object, we have Oppo. For this object, we have nothing. And nothing is the phone name, if you don't know. Let me tell you, like. So the same things, for every object, separate copy of instance variable will be created. So I hope I'm clear with my definition, like what kind of variable called instance variable. If the value of the variable change from object to object, then such type of variable are called instance variable. And for every object, separate copy of instance variable will be created. What is the meaning of this separate copy? It means if you change the one, it will not affect the other. What I'm trying to say, if here I'm changing, for example, 24. So it will not affect other, it will only affect this particular object. Let me run and show you. See, for remaining 2022 only, but only for this one it is 2024, and for all the 2022 only. So it means the same line what I have written. For what line I have written here, for every object separate copy of instance variable will create. It means if we are doing any changes in one object, it will not affect the other object. Each and every object are individual and separate from each other, even they are the object of the same class in that time also. Second question come in your mind, like where we can declare the instance variable. It's a very common question. Most of the people can think like, yeah, we got what is the instance variable, and now where we can declare the instance variable, or in simple way we can say where we can use the instance variable. So in the Python, we have three places to declare the instance variable or to use the instance variable. The first one, which is we have seen inside the constructor by using the self variable. So this one I have shown you. Let me show you inside the constructor. So this is the constructor, and inside the constructor with the help of the self keyword. So the same thing I have written inside the constructor by using the self variable. So I hope I'm clear with this line, like what is the exact meaning of this line. Then second one, inside the instance method by using the self variable. Then again, what is the instance method? Instance method. So as I told you, if the method having the self keyword, it means that method is nothing but the instance method. And what is the entire line? Like inside the instance method by using the self variable. So here only, as I told you, this is the instance method because we are using the self, and inside the instance method we can write the, or we can use the self variable, which is nothing but the instance variable. So I'm clear with this point also. Inside the method, or what method? Instance method, we can use the instance variable. So I'm clear with this second point also. Then the third point, outside of the class by using the object reference variable. Outside of the class by using the object reference variable. So the time being, I have not shown you this example. So don't worry, as time we will see this one also. So the next point, this is a pending. You can keep writing pending. We will show this example also. So the next things, how to access the instance variable. So we can access the instance variable within the class by using the self variable, and outside of the class by using the object reference variable. So if you remember, I have already explained these things. See what I have written. We can access the instance variable within the class by using the self variable. We have defined the self variable here. Okay. And this is inside the class. And here we have one instance method. And here only we are accessing this instance variable. So you can see with the help of this self variable, we are using the instance method. The same thing I have written here. We can access instance variable within a class by using the self variable. And the second point, outside of the class by using the object reference variable. So what I'm trying to say, for example, let me remove these unnecessary things because you are clear with these things. And what I have mentioned here, outside of the class by using the object reference variable. So right now, this is the class and I'm outside the class. So as I told you, I can access the instance variable with the help of the object reference variable. So this obj is nothing but the object reference variable. So obj dot, what I want to access? I want to access this one. Paste here. And if I want to print, I need to write print statement. Let me run. One second. We no need to specify these things. One second. Let me run. See, it's printing Samsung M34. Here, if you want to print any message, you can give these things like I am outside the class. Let me run. See, I'm outside the class. So the same thing I have written here. We can access the instance variable within a class by using the self variable. So this is the instance variable and I'm using the within the class only. So I have how I can access. So with the help of this self dot variable name, I can access that particular instance variable, and outside the class, I can access with the help of the object reference variable. So I hope I'm clear with my this definition also, like how to access the instance variable. So inside the class, you can access with the help of the self keyword, or outside the class, you can access with the help of the object reference variable. And what is the object reference variable? So this is nothing but the object reference variable, OBJ. Then pictures comes in a mind like how to delete the instance variable, because people might be thinking how to delete the instance variable. So we can delete the instance variable within a class by using the del self dot variable name, and outside of the class by using the object reference variable. It is more similar like accessing the instance variable, because if you see how we can access the instance variable inside the class, so with the help of the self variable. So here also with the help of the self variable only the things we are using the extra key, which is del. And how we can access outside? So outside we can access by using the object reference variable. Same things, object reference variable, the only things we are adding the del. Don't worry, we will see the example of this one also, like how we can delete the instance variable. And as I told you, this one is pending, like outside of the class by using the object reference variable, how we can declare the instance variable. So outside of the class by using the object reference variable. So 1 second, let me clear this point. Outside of the class, I want to initialize or declare. So obj dot, I can give any instance variable name. For example, I want color. Then here I can initialize the value. For example, black. Let me run. And by print, let me run. See, so this is how you can declare the instance variable outside of the class with the help of the object reference variable. So this is also completed. The only thing is pending. I have not shown you how you can delete the instance variable inside the class and outside the class. So don't worry, we will see these things also. And after that, as I told you, we have a second, which is static variable. So we will also see how to use the static variable, where to use the static variable, these things also. So thank you so much for watching this video, and please like and subscribe my channel. Bye.